Bienvenidos a otro episodio de Pase Ambidiestro. Welcome to another episode of Ambidextrous Pass. Fútbol honestamente. Soccer, football honestly. El día de hoy vamos a recalcar algunas de las cosas que sucedieron en lo que fue más como la Champions y algunos de los partidos que tomaron lugar ayer y antier, lo que es octubre 21 y octubre 22. We'll be summarizing and focusing on some of the games that took place in the Champions League on October 21st and October 22nd of this match day 3 of the Champions League. The Champions League. A lot of games, a lot of goals, few teams with red cards, which changes the rhythm of the game, whether it is in your favor or against you. It changes the game to a degree. This is the Champions League we'll be focusing on today. Champions League. These are the scores of the Champions League. And we will be starting with the first game, which is a Barcelona against Olympiacos. A Barcelona that, after losing their second match day of the Champions League against PSG, they bounced back, playing at home, with Fermin scoring a hat-trick, Mark Rashford scoring a brace, and Lamine Yamal being able to score a penalty. However, in this game, we have a great game from Barcelona. Cannot be taken away from them. You have a red card that in some way is and can be criticized for the punishment of a red card. A punishment that is very, very poor punishment. If you look at the foul, some can say otherwise. If you're a Barcelona fan, you can look at it how you want. If you're an Olympiacos fan, you can look at it how you want. But overall, a very poor punishment to be a red card from the foul. And the red card from the foul, how it originates, is a really poor foul. And at the end, it just ends up making it hard for Olympiacos. A red card that changes the whole perspective of the game, the momentum. But Barcelona is able to put 6 in the net, and Olympiacos loses 6-1. After a second match day where Barcelona lost, they're able to bounce back with a lot of goals. Santiago Hesse got sent off. It was a really, really poor call on that red. But again, these are only explanations that the officials can give you, how they see this. There's a ruling set, but only the officials can explain this on how they see it and how they perceive the foul. Just being neutral is a poor foul. It's a poor card to leave Olympiacos with one man down. But that's football, and Barcelona capitalizes and wins this game and takes it home. Then we have a Kairat against a Paphos, a game that ended 0-0. Another game where you have no goals. One of the very few games where you have no goals. But at the same time, you get another red in minute 4. But both teams are able to walk away, and at the same time, the goalkeeper, Ana Berkov, and veteran defender David Luiz have a great performance to at least help Kairat keep some points, at least 1 point, the first point in the Champions League. Then we have an Arsenal Atletico de Madrid. An Arsenal that has the quality, has the talent, and has become more connected as the season progresses. A Arsenal that in the first half was goalless, but they came back on the second half and created chaos for an Atletico de Madrid that was not able to keep at the same level as Arsenal. It was a set piece, and that set off Gabriel to score a header. And from there on, Gabriel Martinelli scored, and Victor Gyökeres, who has been quiet for most part of the beginning of the season, is able to score 2 goals and add himself to the score sheet and start gaining momentum for Arsenal. In this game, Arsenal might have controlled it. Atletico de Madrid was able to keep themselves in the first half with the game with Arsenal. But in the second half, Arsenal came in and had to be all about business to take this 4-0 win. And Arsenal that did what it had to do. It took it to what it is, business. They went into the field, second half, started scoring off the set piece. The set piece. Arsenal, the only team to be so effective on the set pieces. Arsenal has the chances every time to score when they have a set piece. It's one of the very few teams, if not the only team, to be so accurate in this season, past season, to be so good and effective on their set pieces. It's always someone like Declan Rice or Gabriel to be the ones who make the set pieces effective. However, the set piece coach is doing a great job. Got to be given to Arsenal. If I'm any team facing Arsenal, my first concern is do not let them get a set piece. Why? Because they have been so effective. 50 to 70% of the time, Arsenal is scoring off the set piece. We've seen that Arsenal has won games off the set piece. This past weekend in the Premier League, Arsenal won of a set piece. So are they effective? Are they dangerous? Yes. Yes, they are, and you gotta give that to them because they have been working in the training ground. They have been creating this. They have been working on this. It's not something that comes easy. It only comes easy when you are constantly practicing such moment. But Arsenal is able to walk through Atletico, and Atletico that is full of good players, great players. But Atletico is a team that all these players have the will to try, to give their all, to be physically and mentally involved in the game. But Atletico doesn't have the threat to create continuously, the creativity to continue and create danger continuously. It's a team that is physical and can put you out of the game mentally, but there's no creativity to say that they are dangerous. And this is shown against an Arsenal that has been coming together from the past few seasons. However, this season, this Arsenal seems different. They're one of the favorites, and with this score against a big team like Atletico, it's showing you that this team is coming together and they're more than capable to take this Champions League. It's still a long way. A lot of things can happen. But this Arsenal, being one of the favorites, it shows why they are one of the favorites in this Champions League. They're one of the favorite contenders. If not the one contender with the highest rate to win it, they are, if anything, the highest contender. Arsenal was able to cruise through Atletico, even though the first half was goalless. Arsenal came in, second half, it was all about business. Arsenal is one of those teams that if you are facing them, you should be wary of the set pieces, but also of their general football. Just their football in general is great. Jokic is making himself seen now. He's on the score sheet, gaining some momentum. And this is great for Arsenal to keep going, keep winning, keep racking points, stay top of the Champions League table, and continue on this, keep building as a team. But now Atletico de Madrid has something to look at, something to work on, so they can continue to build upon the small mistakes that left them stale in this game. Then after an Arsenal, we have a Bayern Leverkusen against Paris Saint-Germain that ends 2-7. Bayern Leverkusen only was able to score 2 goals. PSG was able to score 7 goals. A game that had 2 reds. On that level, both teams were able to keep the same amount of men on the field, so they kept the same momentum to a degree. But a PSG that by the end of the first half, they're already winning 4-1. You have Desire Doude, Ousmane Dembele, Nuno Mendes, Vitinha. They were on the score sheet. However, Dembele came off the bench minute 63rd, and the 66th minute, Dembele is there. Some people don't agree with him winning the Ballon d'Or. Everybody has their own opinion. Whether it's all about the hype, the media that helped him win this. He seems to have a high work rate. Dembele shows to play for PSG. He makes difference. He's effective. And this we see comes in minute 63 and scores in minute 66. Paris are able to cruise through Bayern Leverkusen, even though both teams received a red. They're able to keep the same amount of men on the field, and PSG capitalizes and cruises through Bayern Leverkusen. Then we have a Copenhagen against a Borussia Dortmund. A Copenhagen that loses against a Borussia Dortmund 2-4. Borussia scored 4. Copenhagen was only able to score 2. Felix Emeka, he was a key man, scoring a brace, including the opening goal. Dortmund's attacking was proved too much for Copenhagen, who showed small signs of a comeback, but ended up fading in the second half. Borussia is able to win, build on this, and get some points. Then we have a Newcastle against Benfica. A Newcastle that wins 3-0 against Benfica. This was played at St. James Park. A great game, a great victory for Newcastle. Anthony Gordon is on the scoring sheet, and substitute Harvey Barnes also gets on the score sheet. This is something great for Newcastle to build on. They have a team to get places, to make a difference, to compete more than anything. And they are building on that. And they win at home by 3 goals against a Benfica that just got their new coach, the special one, Mourinho. Now, this is a bit of not alarming yet, but somehow a little bit of, in a sense, shock for Benfica, for Mourinho, because you're playing the Champions League. Yes, he just got there. He doesn't even have 2 months of being the coach, the manager. But Mourinho is always expected to do something. Mourinho is always expected to build something. And I believe Mourinho is a great coach that can build you a team. A team from the bottom up. Is that Benfica's case? Not really. But he's still able to succeed with teams that are already formed, with teams that don't need a build-up. But we will see how this goes for Mourinho as the season goes and it progresses. Then we have a PSV against a Napoli. We have a PSV against a Napoli. PSV that won 6-2 against Napoli. It was one of the most stunning results across, with PSG, Barcelona scoreline. But PSV is able to take away this win, not by 1 or 2 or 3, but by 4 goals against a Italian champion. On the same case, Napoli received a red, which again, it leaves the game unleveled. But these are things that happen in the game. That's why sometimes players have to be on their best behavior and on their best reactions after things take place. Napoli is shut down by PSV, and this lets PSV take the win. Napoli is a great team, has great players, but this is a harsh score, 6-2. Then we have a Royal Union St. Louis against an Inter Milan. An Inter Milan that has the perfect 100% record in this league. And they win by 4 in Brussels. This Inter Milan can build on this, keep going forward. It's an easy cruise, or come win, and it's something to build on. Then we have a Villarreal against a Manchester City. A Manchester City that wins by 2. A Manchester City that was very professional. They controlled the away performance in both games. Came in before the half. But we know who was in the score sheet. Nobody else than the man himself. A poacher. A natural, athletic, agile poacher. Erling Haaland. This guy has been putting some numbers. As a coach, can't say if I would be satisfied, because when you see such player always making the difference, scoring goals, putting 1, 2, 3 goals per game, you want more from him. But at the moment, the guy's having a great performance. A great performance. Statistically, he is there. Whether he's doing better than last season or the season before, it does matter when you're his coach, when you're his manager. but he's having a great season still. Even if his statistics are not the same, he's still showing, he's still being effective, he's still making a difference, and he's dangerous more than anything. He's dangerous. Erling Haaland is on a great path. If I was Guardiola, I would worry if he stops scoring, because the guy is on a momentum that he has been in since 2 years ago, since he came to Manchester City. He's on a momentum. He might have a slow start, but he's still showing up and showing out. And Manchester City is able to win this one with goals from Erling Haaland and goal from Bernardo Silva. Before the half, Manchester City secured the win against Villarreal. Then we go to October 22nd, Wednesday. We start with Athletic Club against Quarterback. Athletic Club that secured the home victory after losing their early shock from their second game. An Athletic Club that takes the lead after being behind. By the end of the first half, Athletic Club was able to tie the game, and a goal from Robert Navarro helps, and 2 goals from Gorka helps this Athletic Club take a much needed win. A win that was necessary. A win that helps them get some points. Athletic Club is able to take 3 points, 3-1 at home, and secure a win. Then we have a Galatasaray against a Bodo. A Galatasaray that was comfortable to win at home 3-1. A game where Victor Osimhen was able to score. A player that is really great, has high work rate, makes a difference, is the difference for Galatasaray. In this game, you have 2 goals by Victor, one in the 3rd minute, another in the 33rd minute. And then you have a goal by Yunus Akon in the 60th minute to seal that 3-1 win for Galatasaray. Then we have a Monaco against a Tottenham. Another tie, one of the few ties that happened this Champions League Matchday 3. A goalless draw. A Monaco that had far better chances to win the match, but was repeatedly denied by Vicario. A Vicario that wins man of the match. Tottenham is able to keep themselves in this game due to their goalkeeper, who was the man that made the difference. And Tottenham attack was not effective enough. And yes, they tie, but they seemed to be content and settled for the tie. They barely got any shots on goal. But again, Tottenham's goalkeeper Vicario is able to keep them in the game and take a point with them. Then we have a Atlanta against a Slavia Prague. Slavia and Atlanta, they end up tie, another tie game, another 0-0. It was a very tactical affair with few clear opportunities. Both defenses were well organized, leading to we have a tie in this game. Then we have a Chelsea against an Ajax. A Chelsea that cruised. A very big win against a struggling Ajax that got a red card in minute 15. Again, no matter what side you support, if you support one team or the other, the red cards unbalance the game, whether they are deserved or not deserved. Players have to be in their best behavior and their best reaction to certain situations. And in this case, Ajax loses a player in the 15th minute, and Chelsea is able to capitalize from this, and they were able to put 5 goals. However, 2 of them came from a penalty. But Chelsea cruises. Chelsea takes advantage. Chelsea capitalizes off that red. Marigui is the first one to score. Moises Caicedo scores in the second. Enzo Fernandez scores the penalty. Estevao scores the penalty. Then you have George, who scores a goal to seal the game for Chelsea. Chelsea that has seen that has the talent that can win games. Small things lack at moments. This is one of the very few games that they don't have red. They've been getting continuously reds. I believe 6 games where they have gotten a red. That is kind of alarming. As a manager, I will ask of my players to be a little bit more focused on the game and to have better reactions in certain moments, to not leave the team with 10 men on the field. But in this game, the situation is vice versa, where you have a red card for Ajax, and Chelsea is able to capitalize on that and take the win 5-1. Then we have in Frankfurt against a Liverpool. A Frankfurt against a Liverpool. A Liverpool that has had losses in the league, but is able to stop those losses, and now is able to build on this and leave the losses behind to pick up good momentum. A Liverpool that put their poor domestic again form behind them after a massive 5-1 away victory in Frankfurt as visitors. The performance was really, really dominant, a much needed boost for Liverpool. And one of the small things is yesterday, which is the 22nd of October, Slot decided to play Isaac and Ekitike. Who was effective? Ekitike. He was the effective player in this game. Who would bench a player that is being more effective and play a player that could be effective but is not being effective? I will play the player that is creating me danger, continuously being dangerous in the attack. Both were on the field at the same time, but the effective player is Ekitike, who came from Frankfurt and cost a smaller fraction than Alexander Isak. Some coaches don't like when some people point out the obvious, but that is the obvious. Isak is a great player. Maybe he's not been able to find himself in this new club, but with the price tag, you want return in investment. The game is a business at the end of the day. Whether you play as a hobby, whether you play it as your job, or whether you play it because you love it, at the professional level, the game is a business. Ekitike came for a smaller fraction than what Alexander Isak is worth. Who's more effective? The guy who's cost a smaller fraction. Why would you bench the guy that is being more effective? Only Slot can answer that. Whether he will be honest about it, his answer will be convincing, depending on what he says. But Ekitike has come off the bench and has made difference. Isak has started, doesn't make difference. Isak comes off the bench, doesn't make difference. Ekitike gotta keep going. Isak gotta get himself in tune with the game, in tune with Liverpool, in tune with his teammates, so he can start finding better days and help this Liverpool team that wins comfortably 5-1 after finding some losses in their domestic. Liverpool wins, something to build on. Forget about the losses they have had in the Premier League. Now on to the weekend for Liverpool. After we have a Bayern Munich against a Club Brugge. A Bayern Munich that maintained their perfect start to the season with a 4-0 win. The 17-year-old Leonard Carl opened the scoring with an amazing long range goal early in the 5th minute. He's the youngest ever UCL scorer, and he belongs to Bayern Munich. Then Harry Kane, he's continuing his great form. Harry Kane keeps scoring. Harry Kane keeps making a difference. Luis Diaz, another player. Nicholas Jackson, another great player. This Bayern has scored 44 goals and only conceded 9 in this campaign with company. That's a great stat. This team is being dominant, not only in the Champions League, but in their domestic league. They are being dominant. Who can stand up to this Bayern Munich? We will see. A lot of times, people go by numbers and statistics. What's on paper is not going to solve you what's on the field. A lot of times. Just because paper shows you something, that does not mean it will definitely go by that rule. Games can change. Players make difference. Certain places stand up, certain places stand down. But this Bayern Munich is showing a strong continuance, a strong start, and they are dominating their game. Company has done a great job. And on top of that, they get Musiala back after the Club World Cup incident. Seems like he had a speedy recovery. Hopefully everything is good and we can see Bayern Munich number 10 come back onto the field so he can leave his fans on awe and see the great talent that he is and the great talent that he has. This is it for Bayern Munich, who win 4-0 comfortably and keep dominating their game in every game they play. Then we have a Real Madrid against a Juventus. A Real Madrid that did some changes to their starting 11. That has been making changes for the past 2-3 games on their starting 11. But this was a really tight tactical game. A game that Madrid wins 1-0 against Juventus. A very tight game where Real Madrid was able to just edge out a little of Juventus. A goal that was scored by Jude Bellingham from a rebound of the post by a shot made by Vinicius Jr. Not only that, Madrid is able to win 1-0. But Juventus was lucky to only concede one because Michele Di Gregorio was able to keep this team in the game. If Arda Güler won man of the match, I believe Di Gregorio was the man that kept Juventus in. And at the same time, Juventus did have their opportunities. But Madrid were a bit superior to the point that they made Juventus stay back, attack on a counter-attack, and those small opportunities that they had. Courtois was tested and was able to respond, but Di Gregorio kept Juventus in. For those that watched this game, Di Gregorio made 8 saves to keep his team in the game. Some say otherwise. Some say that Juventus could have won this game. After the game is done, the statistics show otherwise. Supporters, when you support a certain team, you always want to carry on with your team and say your team was superior. But statistics don't lie. Statistics show that Di Gregorio was able to keep Juventus in the game. Thibaut Courtois was tested, but he made the crucial saves in the last minute. Blahovic tested Courtois at the same time. Courtois was able to keep Real Madrid in the game. But emphasis on Di Gregorio. This guy is a great goalkeeper. Props to him. Cheers to him to keep his team in the game. Now, not everybody could see it like that. But he stood still and he stood his ground when he was needed. Is Juventus going to cherish him for that? I think they did. And I think they will. Because the statistics don't lie. He saved 8 of many shots that were taken. It was a busy day for Di Gregorio at the office. And Madrid is able to win 1-0. A game that had a late winner. But it was a decisive goal. So Madrid could walk away with this 1-0. And first goal for Jude Bellingham of the season. Nothing other than a Champions League game. A great stage, a great atmosphere, great feeling for Jude and for the Madrid fans that were missing this guy and his celebration. He's back. Jude is back. Great win by Real Madrid, tie game. Juventus did everything. Di Gregorio was able to keep them in the game. But one goal, it all took for Madrid to walk away with the win and keep themselves on top of the table of this Champions League. Then finally, we have a Sporting against El Marsella. A Sporting that completed a second half comeback, win at home. A Marsella that took the lead, but was reduced to a 10-man. Emerson was sent off. Sporting took advantage with substitutes. And both substitutes were able to help Sporting to take the 3 points. In this Champions League, there were some great games, some great displays, but we had 71 goals in 18 games. 18 games that were disputed between 2 days, October 21st and October 22nd. 71 goals in 18 games, making it the highest scoring match day in the competition's history. Yes, you have a lot more games, a lot more teams, But if you do the statistic and break down the percentage of goals per game, this is a lot of goals for 18 games. You're having 3 to 4 goals per game. Hey, some games like the Barcelona was a high scoring game, 7 goals in that game. Then you have Arsenal, four goals in that game. Then you have a Bayern Leverkusen, Paris Saint-Germain. You have 9 goals in that game. Then you have a Copenhagen against Borussia Dortmund, 6 goals in that game. Then you have a PSV against Napoli. That's 8 goals in that game. You have a Inter Milan against a Royal Union St. Gilloise. Is 4 goals in that game. You have a lot of games with a lot of goals. Altogether, 71 goals in 18 games. Entertainment, total entertainment from the Champions League. This is all for the Champions League match day 3. A lot of goals, a lot of entertainment. Now it's going on to the weekend and on to the domestic leagues of these great teams that are competing in the Champions League. This is all for today. This is all by Pase Ambidiestro. Ambidextrous pass. Fútbol honestamente. Soccer, football honestly. Please like and subscribe. Have a great day.